Okay, welcome. So we're going to make some bread. We're going to make a couple of different kinds of bread. So today we're going to make a couple of different breads. The first one's going to be a soda bread, and this bread is really easy because it's got no yeast and it's only got a couple of ingredients. So all you need to have for this bread: self-raising flour, buttermilk, salt, bicarb, and a lot of love. You need the love for this one or it's not going to rise. Grab our bowl. It's quite an easy recipe as far as how we're going to go about it. It actually can be quantity. So if you haven't got scales at home, it's also alright. Just find yourself some sort of measurer. If you haven't got one of these, just get yourself a cup or something that's the same size. And for this, I'm going to put 2 cups of self-raising flour. There we go, inside a bowl. 2 cups of self-raising flour, as easy as. And we're going to go open the buttermilk. So buttermilk's basically it's cultured yogurt. So yogurts have sort of gone off a little bit. If you haven't got buttermilk, you can use yogurt. And to be fair, I've made this recipe with milk. So I'm going to go a cup of that. So that's, as I just said to you, 2/3 flour, 1/3 buttermilk. Let's get that in there. Now, I'll give you all these measurements. You might see me adding a little bit more of each. You've got to play it by ear. At this point, we're going to go 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb and salt. And all we're going to do is slowly mix them together. This is where the love comes in. You don't want to get too crazy and just start smashing it together. Okay, so we're going to need a little bit more buttermilk just to bring that together. Weirdly different flours can be completely different. So all you're doing is bringing it until this comes to sort of a wettish sort of dough. So you can start working with your hands a little bit. It's going to be a wetter dough than normal. So at this point, I'm actually going to scrape off this thing and get my hands in there. It's coming together. It's sort of a bit like scones, I suppose, at this point. The more you work it, the worse it will be. So you really do just want to just enough to sort of bring it together. And if there's still a little bit like not clinging there, I'm going to add just the tiniest bit more buttermilk. I'm just going to use that to sort of collect everything up, spin it around. You can see it's not really sticking to my hands and it's not really sticking to the bowl, so we're getting to a good point now. There we go. Now, you can see that's come together as quite a good dough. The stuff on the earth, I'm just going to roll my hands and it's going to come off my hands. That's sort of where you want to be at. So you know it's all right at the moment because it's come off my hands. It's not so wet and sticky. So when I've got that piece, I'm just going to give that a tiny work. And this isn't to sort of like work any air out. I'm just trying to make it look a bit prettier at this point. Okay, so at this point, you can get a tin and you could spray it and put some flour in it just to keep it from being sticky, or you can bake it as a whole loaf. I'm going to bake it as a whole loaf because that's what my gran used to do. So my gran was Irish, her name was Sadie. She was absolutely lovely, like everyone's gran, but I'm pretty sure my gran was better than your gran. And I'll show you what she did at this next step. So I'm going to go get a tray back in the room. Okay, so then now on the bench we've got that. I'm going to give it a little bit of flour on the bottom. That's just going to stop it from sticking. I'm going to put my loaf on there. And this is the bit. So what they do is they put a little cross in the top. Okay, so we've got a little slit in the top. That's it, really. So that's soda bread, ready to go in the oven. We're going to bake for 18 minutes when that beeps, and we're going to see how that works. Grab your little loaf. Sounds pretty good. You want it to sound hollow. And if you do need to check, and if you're not happy with that, I'm going to go get a skewer and show you the skewer trick. Now I called it a skewer trick, said skewer, It's not really a skewer trick, you just put a skewer in the middle and it comes back out clean, which it did not. Sneaky, sneaky bread. We're going to give it a bit longer, so we're going to put that back in. Alright, here we go. So, thinking bread's very much done here. There's a little bit of a tapsy-tapsy. You can't hear that probably, but I can, and it's fine. Let's grab it out. Coming with me, Garrett prepping. Okay, here we go. So then we're just going to put that on a rack. It's going to keep cooking a little bit, so if you do get the tiniest little bit of wet in the middle, it's still going to be fine, but we're just looking for that nice sound. Sounds like Apollo, and that's good to go.